There is so much going on in the world right now, and there is so much to say. I think maybe I should go live and kind of like just get everything out. I haven't been live in a while, but I have been very busy working on my book. Sometimes I'm up from 1 a.m. in the morning and I'm working until 3 p.m. in the evening, just writing and trying to research and collate the information, and it's a lot of work. Um, but it's coming along. Um, I am getting it to where I want to be because most of what I discuss in the book is nuanced. And there is a kind of mental dexterity that is required to flesh out the nuance so that people don't get lost. Because we live in a world that is inundated with not misinformation, disinformation. And there's a difference between misinformation and disinformation. Disinformation is where the information that you put out in the public space, you know that it is false. You intentionally put out wrong information. That is disinformation. Misinformation is when the information that you put out, it is wrong, but you don't know. So you sincerely believe that the information that you're putting out is correct, but it is not. So in both instances, the information is incorrect, but the intent, one is malicious and one is just simple ignorance. Now, a lot has happened um, since the year has started, and much of it revolves around the United States of America. And of course, everyone has their own opinion on that. Now, I just saw a clip posted by the Jamaica Gleaner where the Prime Minister seemed to be at some kind of event and he was speaking. And apparently he was responding to calls for Jamaica to take an official position on the United States invading Venezuela and taking the president of Venezuela into custody. And the Prime Minister's response to that is that, well, his prerogative is to keep Jamaica safe. And there is no need to basically we're saying let sleeping dogs lie. We don't go stir up trouble. Next thing you know, we set the sights of the Orange Avenger and Jamaica, and we don't really have the wherewithal to fend off Thanos and his band of merry men. And while the statement may seem prudent on the face of it, it begs to question, are our leaders serving our interests? Because if America engaged in an unprovoked act of aggression against a sovereign country, and our leader cannot stand up on principle and say what the United States has done in Venezuela and to the Venezuelan president is categorically wrong. Now, there are varying opinions about what kind of president this man was. And of course, the propaganda arm of the media, Project Mockingbird, has been activated to sow all kind of foolishness. Now, it is not our place to meddle in other people's affairs. If the people of Venezuela are dissatisfied with the current president, it is not the United States of America's place to go into Venezuela and remove the president by force. It would be one thing if this was done at the behest of the people of Venezuela and in the best interest of the people of Venezuela. But neither of those two things are true. The United States of America does not care about the Venezuelan people. Make no mistake. So for all the idiots who are on the internet talking about how Maduro was a dictator, every leader that the US don't like, they have labeled them as something. And even if the assertions about Maduro are true, the act itself that the US government has perpetrated against the Venezuelan government is illegal. It is wrong, and it should be categorically and emphatically condemned. I do not understand how we are in 2025 and simple matters of principle, law, and ethics, there has to be a debate about it. Something is either wrong or it is not. There are instances where there are nuances to be explored. This is not one of them. The US went into Venezuela and did what it did in the best interest of the United States of America. It had nothing to do with anything else. Anything else that they're putting out there has nothing to do with the act itself. Other than the US had somebody in Venezuela who were not going along with the bullshit that they wanted, and they decided to go in there and remove them and set up whoever it is that they feel would be more favorable to their interest. So it then begs the question, what about our leaders? When we elect these people to power as prime ministers, are they serving foreign powers? Or are they serving the interests of our people? Because basically our prime minister is saying, boy, I'm afraid. That's tantamount to what he's saying. I'm not saying anything because I don't care and I'm not able. And then we know that whenever we have a new prime minister, they have to go to Washington. Portia Wednesday. Portia Wednesday, when bigger heads call you for, remember they were calling Portia frequent flyer. Right? And I think it was Jovan Johnson. Jovan Johnson asked Portia if she go fly again. And she goes, yes, yes. Right? When bigger heads call you for, what you want me to do? So what does that say? Are these prime ministers and leaders of government serving foreign powers? And that is why we cannot get the country to move in the direction that we want it to move. And you know, when I have these conversations, we're talking about the post-colonial era, not in that fanciful way, right? And people are looking at, you know, countries and saying, okay, why these countries not prospering? And it's because of corruption and a bunch of bullshit. And I'm like, there has been active destabilization efforts in all of the colonies across this fucking planet, because the colonial or former colonial masters have made it their point of duty to ensure that we cannot prosper, to sow the idea that we were better under their rule because we were savages and they civilized us. There is still to this day foreign powers that have a stranglehold on the economies.